Welcome. My name is Ligia Koijen Ramos, and I'm here to present you the last workshop of this series about organizational culture and how to build the organizational culture that will serve everyone. Welcome, and one of the things that I would like to start with is with an invitation, and the invitation to see the two previous workshops that will make this workshop to really get a little bit more landed, because this last workshop is exactly about putting in practice, creating really a dynamic for your own company that will serve your vision and goals. So for that, knowing a little bit what we worked on the previous two workshops will help you to get the notions and also the frame of work that we are using. I want to also say and repeat that the frame that we are working and using right now is two different frames of work, at least. So we have the studies of Hofstede, and is one of the biggest resources in terms of organization culture that we can find these days. Is that a very extended research in international companies from all the industries and all over the world. And we have another one that is biology. Yeah, we are going to use biology to help us in the frame of how to create a culture and an organizational culture that is intentional and sustainable. I don't know what you think, but I don't know any other example more than nature that really proves about and talks about and show us sustainability. So we have some studies about how we can learn from nature. And it's even a study, an organization that says whatever problem you have, probably nature already solved it. And that's amazing, right? Because I don't know if you know, but a lot on the social studies that we have about humans right now, they start with a question that comes from ants. So they observe them in their natural environment and the social organization, and then they ask themselves, can we see this also in humans? So nature is a great master. And honestly, I think that we lose a lot by not taking the examples of nature to our own practice, and why not to our own companies. So this workshop is really to put in practice first the principles of Hofstede for organizational culture, and then the principles of nature for a more sustainable environment, and how nature does this without any effort. And don't get me wrong, but when nature is not satisfied, we also notice, right? We also know when nature is not satisfied. So that also happens in companies. When people are not satisfied, we are going to have tsunamis. We are going to have a volcano starting to erupt. We will have storms. So let's say that humans are not so far away from nature. Well, in the end, we are nature. So I want to bring these two principles together, and I will like also to give you some very practical exercises for you to find out what will be the culture that will serve the best your vision and your goals, and your company can really make this more sustainable and easier. The first thing that I would like to say is that we have something that maybe we don't really think about, is that we tend to have different cultures, let me put it this way. So I already said this before, for the ones that were already with me I'm pretty sure you'll not mind that I will repeat. For the new ones, this is the moment that you may take a paper and write it down. So we have what is called the optimal culture. So that means that is the culture that will make things work and will be optimized. And then we have the actual culture. Yeah? So that is the culture that is really happening. And then we have the perceived culture, the culture that maybe people from outside perceived about your company, but sometimes also the idea that your own employees have about culture. But it's not exactly what they are doing, so it's a little bit of a mixed feeling here. And then is the ideal work environment. Okay, so it's not about anymore about only culture, but it's really the environment, and that is also what we are looking for. Is do we have an ideal environment that can provide people to feel safe enough to do what they need to be doing? This is a great question to start with. Are your people having the environment that they need, the context that they need to really be doing what they need to be doing? This is an amazing question, and I can tell you that most part of the times that when I go to companies and I ask this question, I normally don't have a straight answer. It's like yes or oh no. Like people get like, what are you talking about? So I think it's a huge question as well, and but it's a very important one, and I think we can start there as a group. And another thing that I would like to challenge you is this idea that culture and organizational culture needs to be starting with leadership. So this when we're starting with culture, we are not going down to ask, hey, what culture do you want? Because not that people are not able to do it, of course they are, but it's more because we are the guardians. Leadership is the guardian of the vision and the goals. So our work in culture needs to start there, needs to start also by putting in a very clear way what we are looking for in terms of vision and mission, but also how we are going to get there. And that is culture. The culture is how we do things around here. So it's culture that is going to allow you or not to achieve your vision and your mission. And it's not culture. I want also to get this idea, like it's not culture culture is not an abstract thing. Of course, we can make it abstract, but that is not the ideal thing. Culture is very practical because, just like I said, is how we do things around here. And here the word doing. And this is very important because I see many times companies wanting things and having a certain vision and having a certain type of goals, and I go like, with this context that you have here, you will never reach this. Because what you are doing here is so far away from what the vision requires that will be really difficult that if you continue doing this, you can reach the vision that you have for yourself. This is like a person, okay? If I want to be fit and I don't go to the gym and I eat junk food every day and I drink, I don't know, I don't want to ruin anyone drink, but I drink poorly, I eat poorly, I think will be pretty clear that I will be failing being fit. So in an organization is the same. If I'm doing things here that don't support the vision, it will be very difficult to achieve the vision. And sometimes what I see is a work on culture and values that is not connected with the vision that we have and with the goals that we have for our company. This needs to be all together in a collaborative way. So it's not that they are the same, it's like they are making the dynamic to work. Yeah? So, one of the first things is that you need to get very, very real about what is the actual culture. And I will advise you to measure this. How do you do things around here? And I will of course, I will give you some ideas where you can measure this. But the important thing is that first of all, we need to know the actual culture. How do we do things around here? And then we need also to design the optimal culture and the ideal workplace. And this is saying, okay, if I have this vision and these goals, what is the culture that will take me there? And then is deciding, and not even deciding because they will be very explicit, where are the gaps? And work on the gaps. You don't need to work on everything at the same time. You need to work on the gaps and deciding what is the gap right now. Maybe it's the biggest gap, but also maybe sometimes it's the gap that if we fix or if we reorganize this gap, will be faster to achieve the vision. So that is strategic decisions, right? Okay, now that we have this closed, I want to give you the organizational culture principles. And this is where you can start measuring, okay? So we have several, but I'm going to say to them, but don't worry, you also receive this in paper, not in paper, in digital. So you can already have this information. But you can also pick up a pen and a paper and write it down. So we have one first dimension that is means oriented or goal oriented. And what I normally advise is that you put each one of these words in a paper, and then you are going to put, let's say, drawing a line from 0 to 10, and then you say, okay, where am I? My company is more means oriented or more goal oriented, and you are going almost to put a thermometer there. Yeah? Okay. So this is the first one. The second one is internal orientation or external orientation. Is my company more focused on internal things or more focused on my client, on how we are perceived outside? So internal and external orientation. Then we have another one, easygoing or strict work discipline. So this is another one. It's like, is my company super easygoing? So we don't have a lot of procedures, everyone does a little bit what feels right, or we have very strict processes and we have very strict work discipline. A practical example, you can compare, for instance, I don't know, I work with a marketing agency and I work in pharmaceutical. The marketing, the way that they do things is very easygoing in the attitude, okay? But the pharmaceutical has very rigid work discipline. So some things cannot be in a different way, okay? This is just an example. Another one is locals focus or professional focus. That means that I'm focused on myself and what I do and my department, or I'm more professionally and a little bit more focused on the outcome that I'm going to have and not so much in myself and how I do things. Yeah. Then another one is open system or closed system. So are we getting a lot of inputs from outside and we react to them, or we are very close and we say, no, this is how we do it, this is how we want to do it, and take it. Yeah. And another one, and the last one, is employee oriented or work oriented. So is my company more focused on people and how they feel and who they are, and what they can bring to the organization, or I'm much more focused on how things are done in the tasks and the knowledge. So the work orientation is a different thing than employee orientation. And this is the dimensions that I would like to use to say measure these ones, and measure on the optimal. What is your optimal? Consider your vision, and what is the actual status for each one of them in your company. And of course, you can say, yeah, but how I measure this? I don't know, many different ways. You can, just like I said, take the leadership team to measure this. You can do an open questionnaire. You can even an anonymous one. You can even pass this to several and different people. Doesn't need to be the full company, but for just by department, that you get a little bit of notion where you are. But this is one of the things that is very important to measure, because then we are talking about, most part of the times we are talking about culture and what our company is, without having a factual measurement of saying this is where we are and this is where we want to be. And I can say that most part of the problem starts exactly because no one is measuring, and recruitment becomes a problem, and development, personal and work development becomes a problem, because we don't know exactly what type of training people need. We don't know exactly what people are in need of to progress. But also, I think the biggest problem here is really recruitment, because it can be that we are recruiting for what we have and not recruiting for what we want. And we should be recruiting for what we want, maintaining what we have with the people that we already have. And this is a huge conversation, because yes, we have a lot of things entering here. We have the bias, so people get suspicious when someone is very different from them. And when we are doing recruitment from what we want, what we have, this bias is diluted most part of the times. People tend to recruit people that are like them. So, but then if we want to achieve something for the future and for the near future, we need to recruit for that. But of course, that becomes a problem, because most probably, or can be, that at least in some topics, we are going to recruit someone that is doing things and will be doing things in a very different way from the people that we have. So, conflict, right? And this is something that most part of leadership is not willing to take. Is not willing to take conflict to progress. But let's guess what, right? We need progress. And we need conflict to progress. We need someone to shake the status. Conflict is a way to progress. We only progress if we feel like whatever is happening here is not satisfying anymore. So we get a conflict not with a person but with a status. And when we get to conflict with the status, then we are ready to change, to progress, to do something in a different way. So, challenge for leadership. If you don't know how, it's good that you learn how to deal with conflict. And even sometimes bringing conflict to your team. And when I say conflict, I know that the word is strong, but when I say conflict, it's differences. is bringing differences to your team and bringing differences to whatever is happening in this team. So, a lot of things here. And when we are talking about culture, I also want to include here the idea of mapping. So, when I'm working with a company in culture, normally what I do is that I put a big paper and I do a kind of a map. And of course, if you are a very digital and outgoing company, you can even have really an interactive board that you can be designing. The best way to design organizational culture is really a mind map, is really building up the mind map, because the culture will be exactly where the mind is for our system. Yeah? So think about that. So design a mind map. What is the beliefs that are inside of this map? What are the experiences? What are the connections that we want to create? So create the brain of your company. Get it? I like these metaphors. I hope you like it too. So now I'm going to bring you another frame, okay? And this is the frame of nature. First of all, I want you to think what could be and what you relate with, what type of forest will be your company. Take 1 minute to think, okay, if I think about my company, what type of forest it is? What type of characteristics has this forest? And thinking about this is a great exercise, because it will help you to visualize what is my company all about. Yeah. So look for different types of forests and different type of environments, and take a decision what my company looks like. And this metaphor can help you also to get a little bit more clear what this looks like. Yeah? Okay, so the next frame that I would like to give you is the principles that make an environment in nature sustainable. Okay, and the principles of biology to an environment. First of all is sustainability and regeneration. So this idea that we are creating always things by the principle of this is sustainable, and can we regenerate? Nature is the only place that nothing is lost. Everything is used. And of course we can say, yes, sometimes it's used in a negative way, but it's still used. So if we are going to pick up the example of nature, we will not have waste. Yeah, this is a great thing. It's like we are not wasting anything. We are not wasting time. We are not wasting resources. We are not wasting people. We are not wasting ideas. So this idea that is everything sustainable, and can we continue doing this all over and all over again for many and different years? Another one is adaptability and resilience. You never saw nature giving up, if you know what I mean. So you never saw, I don't know, a bird saying, I'm done with this, I'm out. Or a tree, right? When they are not proceeding is because that time, or because they are hurt, or because they are not in a shape, they die. And I want to say this example. Ideally, our people will be going out, but they will be going out not because they don't feel good, but because whatever they came to this organization to do is done. You know, this idea that I will go away of this company when what I bring in is not what the company needs anymore. And not because I'm not feeling good, or not because I don't feel valued, you know? So it's a natural system. And it's okay that people go. And some people will go in 5 years, 2 years, because whatever they came to do is done in that time. And it's fine, it's healthy. But that is the only motive that people ideally should go out of our company is because they want to do something different, or they want to, what they came here to do is done. Okay, so another one is independency and collaboration. So this idea that I exist by myself and my existence is helping you to exist. And this is very important because I think that sometimes we only have independency in some organizations. Like, this is my department, this is how we do stuff, and you are my client. No, no, you are not my internal client. You are my colleague. You are part of the team. So I don't want to treat you as a client. I want to treat you as a collaborative relationship. I want to collaborate for you to be doing what you do better. So I tend to get a little bit suspicious when in an organization people say, oh, this is a win-win. No, this is a win. We are all in the same company. But of course, so we need to be able to say each department, of course, has their own thing and sometimes their own way of doing things. But this way needs to support the common way. Yeah? So, for instance, conflicts, natural conflicts between companies, finance and sales, or marketing and sales, because marketing wants to do whatever, and sales say, no, but my client is this, and my client is asking for this, you need to produce that, and marketing is saying, no, but this is the brand that you have, and da. So, if this is happening, means that we are too much independent and we are not still finding our collaborative way of working. So we need to work on that. Another thing is efficiency and optimization. So we are always looking to become more efficient in time, tasks, people. We are looking for efficiency, but also to become more optimal. So that means that not only we are doing things faster and better, but everyone is also feeling better. Yeah, so we need to optimize and to create this optimal idea. Another one is feedback loops and continuous improvement. I think this one is very hard for organizations, to be honest. I think creating this idea of constant progress for some organizations becomes really, really an effort. Why? Because it's not collaborative. So because we feel like we need to defend from invaders that are other departments telling us what to do, we become more rigid because we say, no, this is what we need to do. And we become more protected and we become more rigid, and then it will be more difficult to become more progressive and also to improve continuously. So I don't see a lot of times, for instance, when I see these conflicts between departments, people sitting down and saying, okay, so give me your feedback about what this is for you, and how can I will give you also my feedback, and how can we find something in between, and how can we progress inside of this feedback that we have. I don't see this a lot. I see more like, no, this is how I do it, no, this is how we do it, this is what needs to be done, and this is the rule. So this type of things will not support anything. Okay, then one important thing is the circle economy, and I think this one is going to trigger a lot of people. Why? Because we hear a lot on the bonus, but it's a bonus per year, and if the company reaches whatever. But what happens if we all have the same structure? Will make us more owners also of the different processes. will make us also more owners of what is going on and taking that responsibility. Um, when I was working in a company and in the corporate world, I remember, and this was some years ago, I remember that we decided that even HR has a variable on the sales per month, like the salespeople have. Why? Because we wanted to also have a voice. We wanted also to say, no, but we believe that for us to achieve these numbers, we need these people. And before we were a little bit on a service status, like you are a service to me because I'm the one that is the owner of the goal. And that didn't felt right because we didn't have really intervention, so we were just presenting candidates. And when that shifted, became really a collaboration, like became even sometimes tough negotiations, saying no, but if you want that goal, I can tell you that this is the person that you need. And the person says, no, but I don't want this person. And no, it's more difficult. Yes, but I'm also here to support you in the training, in the onboarding. So that makes us more participative. So more taking also the ownership on what we were doing, much more than when we were just seen as a service, almost like outside service. So this is just an example, okay? Then we have a beautiful thing that is the biological inspiration. So that we are going to look for inspirations in nature that could serve our organization. And this is where I want to start. I want to start with you deciding what animal, and maybe this is a strange exercise, but I want you to start by thinking what animal will represent the best my organization. What is the animal that could really represent us? And maybe you are going to find out that you can do this, and this is a funny game, you can do this by departments. Like, which department is more this? What department is more that? And then, even in nature, you can find examples how these animals, together with some vegetables and some other water and other elements, can become one forest, one environment, one strong environment and context. This is the challenge. And what I would like to do with you is some exercises that could give you this map. So the first exercise, you already got it, is like putting means-oriented, goal-oriented, these principles, and deciding where you go the most. Yeah? And then is saying, okay, the same sustainability regeneration from 0 to 10. This one we put 0 to 10. What my company is doing for this, and how my company is right now. And for that is the first exercise. First you measure what is actually happening, and then you are going to do for both the ideal to serve your vision and your goals. So this means that you are going to have, let's say, two different boards. You are going to have the board of the actual status, and you are going to have the ideal board, right? On both principles, the principles of Stata and in the principles of biology. Now, I want you to put this in one board. So, go crazy, make this in one board, and how this could be working for your own vision and goals. Remember, is really about your vision and your goals. It's not about what looks best, what looks better from the outside. Why? Because the culture that we engage everyone is the one that will bring to you the people that believe in your culture. And that is the way that you will engage everyone, is creating a company that every time that you recruit, every time that you are doing something, people feel, wow, this is all connected. Then people don't distrust your culture. And this is a challenge. Oh, the amount of recruitment posts that I see that they don't say anything. What is the ideal? Is that you receive 200 CVs, or that you receive maybe 70, but they are the ones? What is the ideal? Is the ideal that you receive an extraordinary amount of CVs that you cannot process, that you cannot interview, that you cannot even meet, or that you receive maybe 50 that are the ones that are matching your culture, people that are already believing in your culture, people that are already believing in your mission, people that are already believing in your goals, and they want to work with you. That is efficiency. That is optimizing a process that you are the one controlling. Right? So, just an example. What we want is to create a culture that we are able to do. And this doing is going to support the vision that we have. So, the people that join us, they are not going to feel lost. They are not going to distrust. They are not going to say, but why we are doing this? No, because everything is in a dynamic that people understand why this is happening. And also for leadership becomes so much easier to present whatever news, whatever change, whatever needs to be happening, becomes so much easier, but so much easier. One of the biggest problems at this moment is that culture is not intentional. People, the way people are doing things in companies is basically random. So they don't know why they are doing it. They are just doing it because they believe sometimes that works. And don't get me wrong, but sometimes people are doing things to prove that you are wrong and they are right. I got this the other day. I got a company that people were doing things just to prove that whatever the leadership was saying was not right. So it was a lot of, because they wanted to do it their way. And when leadership came and said, no, this is the way that we are going to do, and maybe not super efficient on showing why this is so important because of our vision, people said, okay, we are going to prove that you are wrong. So it's a sub-dynamic and a sub-goal inside of this organization. So we have the goal of the leadership, and we have the vision of the leadership, and then we have an internal team-oriented goal that is like, I'm going to show you that you will fail. We don't want this. For sure you don't want this in your company, okay? So this strategy, and this is about strategy, is really going to help you to make things clear, to make things more efficient also, and the communication will be easier. Yeah? So we are going to also put some exercises extra. You are going to receive some material extra as well as this, and an example of these exercises. And I really advise you to, if you want, share it with me, share it with other colleagues, but do this in a very collaborative way as well, because that will help you to get a little bit more insight about what is going on. So I'm willing to receive your maps and get you a little bit of a feedback about what I see and quote what could be your biggest obstacles, and also what is good, of course. So I would like to challenge you to do these exercises, to put this on a paper, to make this a mind map, because you are building the mind of the company. You are building the brains of the company when you are doing this. Yeah? So thank you so much for being again with me. I would like you to have something that I would like to also introduce to you. And this is a book that I will really advise you to buy. And if you want to know more about this book, let me know. And I will also challenge you to follow me in LinkedIn, of course, because you have every week an article, every week new insights, and I will be also happy to hear what you would like to get more. So reach out, have fun with this, and most of all, create something that is intentional, something that you create to serve you and your organization. Thank you so much, and I hope we see each other again. Take care.